Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with CircWorks, and this is Beyond 100 Days of Making Comics, where I pick up where I left off on my 100 Days of Making Comics journey. And what that is, that's where you spend at least 30 minutes a day, every day, working on your own personal comic book project, and then you let people know about it, typically through YouTube as a vlog, or you can blog about it, or whatever way you want to do that. But just hold yourself accountable, and should kind of be sort of daily, at least, I think that's the best way to do it. I don't know that that's actually a true requirement, but the way I've found is that if you tend to like skip a day or whatever, it just disrupts everything. So I would recommend trying to do this every day when you're actually doing the challenge. I've finished my challenge, so I'm not doing it every day. I'm just doing weekly updates. So my project, my comic book project, is called Young and the Dead. These are the first two issues right now. I am wrapping up the third issue. If you've been following me for a while, then you already know all this stuff, so bear with me. But it is a kids versus zombie story. It's kind of like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead, and it's my homage to some of my favorite type of movies, these kid adventure movies like Goonies and Monster Squad, Explorers, E.T., Stand By Me, those type of movies. Or more recently, like a Super 8, which is kind of probably J.J. Abrams' homage to the same things. Mine's a little bit different take, but anyway, so that's what I'm working on. So wrapping up issue 3 right now, and I am still flatting. I'm in flatting hell. It's kind of like the worst, kind of the most boring part about the whole process, but it kind of has to be done, and right now I don't have the money to pay somebody else to do it, so I've got more time, so I'm doing that myself. And but anyway, so that's what I'm working on, and I'm more than halfway done flatting. I think I'm on like page 15, which actually I'm actually going to show you guys. I did a little sort of a sped up kind of tutorial about how I flat. I don't know how well that went across. So I'm going to do a real-time thing right after this. I'm going to kick to that in a minute. But other than that, I've been thinking ahead a little bit, because like I said, I am getting ready to wrap up this story. This book. Story's already done. I've got to do some tweaks on the script and everything still. But starting to think about the next issue, and I've got a rough outline of where this whole story is going to go. But it's kind of like, to me, there's always, I'm trying to find creative ways to kind of kick off each issue or whatever, because typically they leave with some sort of cliffhanger, as comic books tend to do, and should probably do, in my opinion, for the most part. But I don't always like to just pick up right after, so if I leave with a cliffhanger in a certain scene, I don't like to start it back up in that exact scene. I want something else, like a flashback or another scene, or maybe some characters. Like this particular issue 3, it picks up with another character that we kind of left hanging, and it was actually just like sort of a minor character that I at the time was just going to leave it alone, and that was the end of that story arc. Even though it wasn't much of an arc, because it was just like introduced briefly in the first issue. But I'm like, I think I want to bring this character back, because I think I could do something fun with her. So, but anyway, so instead of just picking up where issue 2 left off, I kind of went into this other story. So right now I've got another. I started thinking to myself, there's just, especially towards the end of this issue, there's a lot of exposition and things like that, and I'm trying to find creative ways to explain things, kind of break it down and explain little bits along the way, so it's just not one thing at the end. Because really, that's what's gearing up. There's still a lot I have to explain about the actual the zombie-like virus, and how it happened and everything. And I've been giving little hints along the way, and the way this particular virus behaves, because it's a little different than the typical zombie virus it's kind of the standard that you know from a lot of different zombies. It's a little bit of a different take. So I'm trying to introduce things along the way, but there's still a lot to do. So there's another character that is involved with this whole thing that I'm going. I think I have a way, and I don't want to get into it too much right now because spoilers and all that. But I think I found an interesting way to kick off the next story, and now I'm trying to, put all these pieces ahead and figure out. Because if I go, because the issue 4, issue 5, it's probably. I'm guessing it's going to be a 5-issue series. It could go to 6, but I'm going to try to do it in 5. And I just want to make sure, I can put all this stuff in and do creative ways of explaining exposition, so it's not just somebody talking, telling you what's going on. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. But anyway, so back to flatting. Knee deep in that. Hopefully, I don't know if next week I'll be done with it or not, but rather, I'm trying to find different things to show you guys because this is kind of boring. But I'm going to do like a little real time demonstration of how I set up a page and everything. So that's going to be the end of me talking to you directly, and I'm going to kick over to this. So let's go to that. Okay, everyone, I am going to do sort of a little mini tutorial here on how I set up my pages for flatting, and I did this once before in a show, and I guess one of the reasons why I'm doing this again is because I'm just in this flatting phase and it's real boring, so what else do I talk about? But the last time I did it, it was kind of a sped up video and I went through it real fast, so I thought I would just take some time and go a little slower, so maybe it's a little easier to understand. So what I want to show you, I tried to do something different this time around and it didn't really work out. It's not like a major problem that I created for myself, but let me just show you. So what I try to do this time is just set my line art layer to multiply, and that's how it is here. And I want to show you something, so I'm going to play around with some of these layers. I don't know if you can see that. See all these little, this is where I went in with an eraser or was filling things in. And again, it's not a big problem because it'll print the way you're seeing it here. And this is the flatted version. It will be colored and everything. But I thought it'd save some time, and because it's real easy. So once I got this is my line art layer. And I don't know, hopefully you can see this right up here where I'm circling around. There's a little drop down box and it's got all kinds of different effects, but right now it's on multiply. Now if I click back to normal, you see all that weird stuff? That's from either erasing and coloring, and that could definitely cause some problems. But I'm going to go back to multiply and it should work out, but I'm going to go back to the way I've been doing things because that's probably not the best way to do it. Because like I said, it was just a one-click solution where I changed the layer to multiply, and I thought that would be easy. So I am not going to do that. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to open up another page. So this is page, what is this? Page 15 of Young and the Dead. And so let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open my channels palette here, not palette, what do you call it? Channels, I don't know, what do you call it? Is it palette? I don't know. I don't know all the terminology. I just do it, Alright, so here you can see we've got RGB, we've got red, green, and blue. So what I'm going to do is, there's a little thumbnail here under RGB. I am going to click Control, or if you're in a Mac, is a command, I think, on a Mac. So anyway, I'm going to click that, and then I am going to click on this thumbnail, and you see what it's doing now. You see the little marching ants. It's selecting all the white. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back to my layers here, and I'm going to hit delete, and that should delete all my white. Now I'm going to click off of it. Now it looks kind of the same because I've got this other little white layer right here. It's just to kind of make it easier. So now you can see, so everything is transparent now. So all the black and white line art is transparent, and then like I said, I created this just a white background so it doesn't look all weird with the checkerboard pattern in the background. And now I can go in, and what I want to do, and sometimes what you might want to do, man, I didn't do this here, but you can also save a copy of this layer. I'll just do it anyway, even though I've already converted it to like a just the line art, not the white. But I'm going to drag it down to this little thing right here. I don't know if you can see that, and that's going to create another layer. I'll just bring this down below this white layer. So that's just extra in case something gets messed up or whatever. I probably should have done that before, but I'm not too worried about it. So what else? The other thing is now when I scanned in my artwork, I scanned it in as black and white line art, not color, not grayscale. So it's got pretty sharp images. I mean, everything is either black or white, and that's why it was so easy for me to go in and select just the white. Now, if you've got a lot of grays, like if you're just scanning a pencil drawing in, like as a grayscale, it's not going to work like that, because when I did that selection in the channels, it's seeing one of two colors, the black or the white. Now, if you've got grayscales, then it's a little different. So what you want to do, if you do scan in something that's kind of a grayscale, what you can do, you go up to, let's see, where is that at? So image adjustments and levels. And there's a little slider here, and this, I'm sure most people that, this is fairly basic stuff, but I'm just going to go over it for anyone that isn't familiar, because I remember there was a time where I didn't know how to do this stuff, and now it's kind of second nature, but everyone has to start somewhere. So if you don't know how to do it, don't be too concerned with that, and that's what this is for. And for everyone else, like I said, I'm sure it's just old hat to you guys. But anyway, so here's a little slider here. Now you can see it's getting darker and darker. Well, I guess you know what? Since I've already converted, I guess it doesn't make a difference. So that's probably not the best thing. Now because I was going to show you that in the beginning, but that doesn't really matter. I wonder if what if I do this? What if I take these two layers and merge those layers? So now we've got this is just our solid black and white line art, okay? Now let me try that again. Try the levels. Because this shouldn't just, yeah, now you can see. See how, and the more I slide it over here, the darker it gets, and you're getting all these little like dimples and things. Anything in there is gonna, once I take it over here, it's gonna turn totally black, and obviously that looks really bad. But when you are just scanning in a pencil drawing, you can go somewhere in the middle here. But for me, I was happy with it the way it is, so I'm just gonna bring it back. All right, now I'm gonna start another layer. And this is the layer that I'm going to use to start filling in some blacks. So what I'm going to do, or not blacks, but my grayscales. So, and I should be probably working in grayscale, but I'm not. So I'm just going to go off to the side of, like, usually go red. It's a little warmer, but I just kind of go along the side here and pick my grays from here. So let's get something a little grayer around there. Okay. Now, I am going to grab my polygonal lasso tool and click here, and just start clicking each one of these corners. And then I'm going to fill that in. Oops. What did I do? Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. I had my other layer turned out. And then I need to create another layer that's just that white again. Let's see. New. So this one I'm going to select all. I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to fill that with white. So now we're back to where we were before, where I have that white background here. Now I'm going to go back, and the biggest thing you have to worry about when this is always try to make sure what layer you're on, and that will especially come into play in this next step that I'll show you. Now what I'll do, and I'm not going to do every single thing here because it's just repetitive, but I'll go ahead and I'll fill the backgrounds in on all of these. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up here and kind of zoom in on, I'm going to start filling in some of these faces. So now I'm going to go back up to my line art. I'm going to click on this. Now, depending how tight you are drawing and how well your lines connect, mine don't always connect that well, sorry. But you can go in here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my magic wand. I'm going to select, and you can see, okay, I need to, right now I've got my tolerance at 30, so it's having trouble determining what's black and what's white. So I'm going to bring that tolerance all the way down to 0. Okay, I'm going to click. I don't know, why is it doing this? This is weird. Huh. Even with the tolerance of 0, that's kind of weird. I'm going to click on some faces here. And then I'm going to go back down to this other layer because I don't want to fill in my line art layer. Maybe it's, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second here. That didn't make any difference. Okay. Oh. Hold on, everyone. Try this again. Yeah, I don't know why it's not. It should fill to the edges. I don't know why it's not doing that, but we're gonna try something else. So anyway, so now I'm gonna go back up to this bottom layer because I don't want to fill in my line art layer. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to select. I'm gonna go modify. I'm gonna expand. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna expand it just beyond, a little bit beyond the line art, so it'll go inside kind of where the line art is, so it'll overlap. Otherwise you're going to get some little white here, and right now it is really weird. I don't know why it's doing this, but it's not quite filling in that area. But I'm gonna do 3 pixels and see what happens here. So that's going to grow it a little bit. Then I'm going to click on here. Sorry if you guys can't see this. I'm going to select the skin tone, and I'm not, right now, again, this is just flatting, so the main thing is just to make sure all the different colors are, these shades are different, so when I select them, it will select only the portion I need. So I'm not really concerned too much about the skin color yet. And again, this is all black and white anyway, so. Okay, so now that I've got my color here, I'm going to fill that in, and there you go. Now there's certain parts that didn't get filled in, so a lot of times I can go in I'll just write, that's the paintbrush, but I'm going to use the pencil tool because it's totally solid line here, and I can go in and fill that in. And of course you can zoom in better to make sure if there's anything that's not quite touching, you can go in there like that. But for the most part, that's how I flat my image, and then I just kind of keep repeating this process. But it's just a combination of different things, because there'll be certain. Let me find an area here that's going to bleed out, which usually is a lot of areas, but now for some reason with this particular page, it looks like a lot of these lines are like totally closed, which will help me in coloring this, but I can't find. Well, just say for instance, if I want it, let me go back up to my line art here, and you can label these. Right now I haven't labeled any, so it just says layer 7. So now right here, if you look, there's some stripes here. Now the stripes don't totally connect, so if I try to click on that, now this one will probably be this one looks like it's connected, so I'm going to click on that. You see how that's connected there? And then I click the other one. Now this other one's not. Now watch, if I click on that, it's going to fill in this whole area. So that's kind of what determines which way I use to color it. Now I can go in here, let me go back to my bottom layer. I can go in here and I can fill this in. That's kind of light. Let me go darker just so you can see it. You know, I can fill this in by hand like that. I can go up to my lasso tool and just gently go like this. Now The problem is what I just did here. I'm going to fill that in. So you can see how you can use either, you can use all these different tools, whatever works best. But what I should have done was fill the back of the shirt first, because you want to work back to front. See if I would have went in and, let me see, click here, here, here. Basically all of this shirt. Then I want to expand that. Go back down to my bottom layer. Fill that shirt in. Now I missed some spots, so I'm going to go back in and just fill that in like that. And this is why I don't like flatting, because it's just that's what it is. It's a lot of this stuff, and it's just not very fun. But it's a necessity, really. There's a program out there, I think it's called BPelt or something like that, that can do some of this stuff for you. But I don't. Again, it kind of depends how you draw, and how many of your lines are connected or whatever. But anyway, so I filled in the background now. So now I can go in, make it a little darker, so there's a difference in the tone here. And then if I do it by hand, I can fill that stripe in like that. Or this takes some practice to get this precise. To do this just freehand with your lasso tool. You can do that. And that's basically it. I'm gonna continue on flatting this page, and if I went too fast, or I'm not the best at doing these tutorials. So if there's anything that you missed, or you didn't really understand something I said, or maybe I used the wrong terminology or whatever, and you're confused, just send me a message. Comment on Facebook, and I'll try to address whatever that is. But yeah, hopefully you got something out of this, and I think I'm going to wrap it up and say that is all.